作为一个艺术家，我觉得我们的天职就是能够面对不同的那一个情况，然后给一个有想法或者是一个有眼见的一个探索，甚至分享或者是发表我们的意见呀，这本来就是艺术家的工作呀。所以对我来讲，发生这样的事情，就是一个对我们的一个考验。数码化它给人很多选择，对吗？很多不同选择的能力，这样子呀，这本来是艺术的一个本质。因为艺术给我对生活，我有我的选择，我可以选择不同的方式来对待生活。这个艺术给予我们的一些能力。那我目前还在学习这一个数码化，到底最终会给予我们怎么样的这一种能力？现象是在2019年创作的，那它其实是我这几年对周遭发生的事情的一些反应。这几年发生在我们的生活或我们的周围的很多事情的，不管是人为的或者是自然的，都给了我很大的一个反响。所以好像心里面有一些东西要出来这样子呀。所以现象就是这个作品。所以今年的版本跟2019年的是一样的，因为那个想法就是说，我们有没有办法通过 VR 呢，把观众带回到剧场里面看现象这个作品？所以在舞蹈上，其实他没有做任何的更改。
Last time when we do 360 video, we have not thought of doing a 1.5-hour feature-length videos. This is the first kind of collaboration for a full-length 360 dance video. So this is definitely a one-of-a-kind collaboration with us.
This opportunity comes at an opportune time, and we are really here to catch the right moment. And that is why we have quite a limited timeline from getting the idea out into production, pre-production, and post-production, and app, and everything out. It's quite a tight timeline. During the shoot itself, we shot for 4 days straight. The dancers had very little rest. The crew, we had very little rest. Helmet here, he had to go back and he had to render the videos at night after a 9-hour shoot. So there's quite a bit of things that we really needed to rush out during this period.
We heard about this project about maybe 2 months ago, and the good thing is that it's been done before in the theatre. So it wasn't that hard pulling it out from the archives, but in the process there's also certain things to consider, because when it was done in December last year, it was made for a live audience experience. When you take that experience and put it into film, there's quite a few things that needed to be changed. So, for example, colors had to be switched to suit what the camera picks up. Even up to now, it's an ongoing process on what works best for the camera, because it's just not the same when you're watching the show live and when you're watching it through the camera.
Normally what we do is we work with natural lighting or very normal white lighting, but this performance, the lighting was quite dramatic. When we captured the video, it actually turned out a bit blur or a bit too dark, so we actually needed to make quick adjustments. But because the camera unfortunately does not allow you to do a very accurate live preview of what the video will actually look like at the end. So what we had to do is we had to make a little bit of light adjustments, then render out the video, bring it to the lighting director, bring it to Swee Boon, the director, and try to make adjustments from there.
I guess the biggest challenge is that because we are filming it in multiple angles, we want to make it look like it's shot everything in one day. Make the different angle seamless. So even for the sound being recorded, we had to record it from different spots, and Ningru had to mix the sound according to that specific spot. So I think this is something that we also are learning in terms of post-production, what the best solution to make an immersive experience with the sound, with visual, and even with the app. Yeah.
The mindset shift from live performance to something that's more like a film nature, it's definitely very different. So with VR, of course, visually when you're turning around, you can see the space as if you are in the actual performance space. But in order for sound to do that, there's quite a bit of head tracking involved. So basically, it's as if you are the actual audience member. So when you're jumping from one viewpoint to another, the sound around you actually changes a completely different direction. Ken, being the composer, he is not in Singapore right now, and he can't be here with us for this filming. So working with Ken remotely is a little bit hard because I also wish that he was here to be able to, oh, we need to move this sound or that sound.
咁其實分隔咗，我哋周不時都通電話去講呢個關於創作方面嘅嘢，嗰時係比較難嘅，因為喺呢一個新常態，喺疫情影響之下咧，我哋好難去好直接咁同人溝通。但係呢家咁嘅時候，我覺得你需要好多時間去明白對方想講嘅嘢。even 我哋透過 Apps 嚟溝通都好，睇到面都好，但有時好難嘅，因為你淨係咁睇，你感受唔到直接嗰個語氣同埋我好想同佢表達嘅一啲諗法啦。所以我覺得呢個的確改變咗好多我哋成個創作方式，所以我覺得都挑戰係溝通上嘅嘢。
其實最難的就是我們的目的是讓觀眾體驗一個作品嘛。可是，在現實裡面，當我們拍的時候，我們其實是會用4天去拍它，然後每一天會有不同的段落，每個段落都會中斷。對舞者，我們節奏啦、位置啦這些細節沒問題。可是因為這是一個長篇的作品，1個小時20分的作品，所以真正在表演裡面，它是一個歷程，它每一段都會一直加上去。當你把它切成一段一段的時候，怎麼演？
The last time we performed PheNoumenon and this time, the main difference is that there's no audience, or maybe there are actor audiences who are the same every single day, and also that the piece is broken down into different takes rather than a full length. So there are added challenges. For example, we have to do a set form and set timing, which we are not very used to. So even though we usually have set pathways, we are usually given the freedom of expression. How we do it is always different every time. Whereas this time, it was really quite a challenge to really make sure that while you are being very free and real in your expression, you need to also make sure you hit the right timing and the right shape at the right time. If not, it may seem too different for the audience. Yeah.
So now that we slice it all up, in my mind, I can feed the information to myself, but the experience of it is still okay, episode 1. Pause, commercial break, then episode 2. So besides depending on my mind, I had to find a way to let my body really experience the journey in a linear way. I want to carry what I had in A to B, and then what I had in A and B to C, something like that. So this time around, the challenge would be for me how I find this process again, even though it's all chopped up. So maybe in the interval, while we are preparing for the next take, I will be in my own world. Once in a while, yeah. So that was the challenge, and it was kind of something new for me.
I think there isn't a very strong sense of difference in terms of watching each day's performance. In fact, sometimes it feels like deja vu, I'm repeating a whole day all over again. Because sometimes the dancers are really consistent in their performance. They are able to maintain the same amount of energy, the same blocking, the same expression, the same intensity, and that was really impressive for me. But today I did think hey, last year when I first watched this performance, there were many more people. And because in the theatre we sit in islands instead of the traditional kind of seating arrangement, each island felt really crowded last year. But this year there was a lot of space in the island given to us, and then the dancers could sometimes just sweep right past us and cross that island line, if you would. So that was quite exciting for me as an audience member this year.
这一次呢，把它转换成 VR 的时候呢，我们还特地把它分成8个部分。这样子的话，观众可以分段来看，在每一段里面至少会有3到4个位置可以选。也就是说，我如果今天我在这边看了，我觉得离舞者有点远，我想换去另外一个位置，比较靠近舞者，那我可以只要手指一按，我就可以1秒就跳到另外一边去，而且没有断掉，就是说我在哪里看，它就到那里就直接接下去，这样子呀，所以有一点点神奇，就是你可以跳，在演出里面跳在不同的位置上面。
We won't say that what we're trying to do is to mimic real life, right? What we're trying to do is to create a new experience, a new space for this dance, and to make it as immersive as possible in terms of VR.
At first, I was more on the bandwagon of like I still prefer live performance than as opposed to pre-recorded performances. Whereas in this case, with the added technology of virtual reality, I think live performance is still live performance. Nothing can take away from that. But having the option, so now with VR, especially with this piece, the audience has the option to choose where they want to sit, how they want to view the piece, and especially having that real option to change. It gives them like some prerogative. So giving the audience a choice kind of forces them to cross that line and to interact with the performance or the piece itself.
很明显的，它制作的方式就是不一样，它观赏的方式就不一样，它体验的方式是不一样的呀。所以我一开始就把它分得很清楚，这是一个新的一个学习这样子，而且是这一段时间我们非做不可的，因为你不做的话，你就不能表演呀。最终我们都是很感激的，因为毕竟这个时候能够表演或回到剧场，你知道这个是我们今年第一次回到剧场。我们从4月呀就开始 cancel show 啦，还有那个巡回呀，我们还没有进过剧场哎。
Being back in the theatre is kind of nostalgic because the last piece that we performed was PheNoumenon, and then now when we come back, it's the same piece with the same setup, with the same people, but you know things has changed because of COVID. Like the world has changed, we have changed. Then I think this time around I came back with more gratitude for being able to still do what we are able to do, even though the situation isn't that ideal anymore.
So this was actually really, really nice to be able to feel that connection with people again. And of course, you know, after not seeing like my colleagues and like with the production team for so long, it's really good to be back lah. And it's really very nice because we all know that we're actually going into a medium that we're not usually familiar with. So there was a lot of openness, there was a lot of conversations. When we meet a hurdle, we discuss it and then we discuss how to get over it. And it was encouraging for each other because coming out of COVID, you know, we want to put our art out there again. But then at the same time, it's like we're all trying to figure out how to do it. So we're sharing that same struggle.
我有一种感觉，就是大家好像都变得越来越积极。你会感觉虽然情况有可能会转变这样子，可是我感觉到周围的那个能量现在都比较强大这样子呀，没有这么灰暗。然后就是觉得我们可以做，其实可以做，还是可以做很多东西。
It's kind of cheesy, but it just feels that one thing that remains the same is that I'm still alive, because even though things are different, but every time I dance, I still feel that life is still happening, and then every day is still a constant negotiation or a fight to survive.
藝術不斷咁進化進步，我覺得呢個係必然發生嘅嘢。咁因為藝術都係人搞出嚟㗎嘛，咁你話咁人同藝術其實不可分割啦。咁其實藝術會唔會其實就一路生活喺我哋，就一路同我哋生活住一齊，共同生活，又或者喺我哋生活中出現嘅嘢
現象。这整个制作的后面我觉得它有一个比较特别的意义，就是说不管情况怎么样， 我们还可以通过很创意的方式，去拥抱我们喜欢的，做我们喜欢做的事情。